Well, I will call this meeting to order. We will start with the consent agenda. All the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AHA meetings will be approved by one vote unless any trustee desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. Minutes of the monthly finance meeting on May 28, 2019. Minutes of the monthly trustee meeting on May 28, 2019. And a check report May 10th, 2019 through June 9th, 2019.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Brown, a second by Jay Randalls to approve the consent agenda. Roll call vote, please.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
All right, next item is the CEO's report. Candace?
All right, in my report that you have in front of you, kind of slide down there to nursing. We begin to interview international nursing candidates. We have one that is supposed to come in November, and we have also recruited one of the graduating nurses from the 2019 program at Northwestern, so we're excited about that. We currently are needing still in nursing 2-night and 2-day RNs. And so we are working hard to, Kevin will kind of go over some of that here in a minute, but we're working hard to get nurses recruited. And back about 6 weeks ago or so, we put out a survey to the staff to poll them to see what are the things that you think that we need to work on, that we need to do better. And of course, communication was at the top of the list. Next was wages, and after that was recruiting doctors and nurses. And so we have been meeting to try to determine what we can do to improve those situations, and I'm happy to say that Mark Nichols has accepted the position of HR assistant to work with Christy, and specifically he will be working on communication. He will work on getting an intranet going for the staff so that we can communicate with that, trying to make sure we cover everybody, and then also working on like a Facebook page and putting information out there not only for our staff but for the public as well. I feel strongly that if our employees are happy with their work environment, they're going to do a better job selling and recruiting for us. I think they're the best people to do that. So we're going to work hard on that. We sat down and visited with Mark today, and I think by the end of that meeting, all of our heads were spinning, not realizing just how much there really is to do to be successful at recruiting and onboarding new employees. And we're very hopeful and optimistic that by doing this right, we can reach out and recruit the staff that we need and cut down this $1 million plus per year that we're spending on agency for nursing at the hospital alone. So we're pretty excited about that. Mark, with his skills in IT, will be able to automate a lot of processes that are paper, and it's easy to lose track of those things. And so our goal is to a new employee to have all of that stuff done before they get here on the first day, so that that first day can truly be meet and greet, warm and fuzzy, and helping them get immersed in the culture and not just their nose in paperwork and getting lost in the process. So we're pretty excited about that. Excited to have Mark fill that role. The next thing I have is physician recruitment. And we interviewed a doc. Actually, I have interviewed 2 so far, and on site. One has signed with another hospital. The other one we just didn't feel like was the right position for us. And so we're continuing to go down that road. We have another day set up for, I sent you email, you guys, the subcommittee, an email. We'll be meeting with him next Wednesday, and hopefully that will be promising. Cheyenne, I was just telling everybody that she's getting ready to go to med school. So she, I think, got 14 shifts left before she leaves us. So that's one of the gaps that we're trying to fill in nursing. So anyway, anybody have any questions? I think that's all that I have for you.
Any questions for Candace? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve and accept the Share Medical Center written report.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Dr. Self, to accept the Share Medical Center written report for June 25th, 2019. Roll call vote, please.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon. Yes. Brown,
Yes.
Bob. Yes. Casper.
Yes. Thank you, Candace. Next is the CFO's report. Kevin?
Okay, well, for the month of May, we posted $1,784,206. That was a $34,311 decrease compared to the prior month. Patient days were were up a little bit. Actually, it was 140 in May compared to 129 in April. The biggest area that we've seen a decline in, and you'll see it also in the outpatient volume as well, is our clinic visits went from 1,506 in April down to 1,228. And remember, we're starting to get out of the flu season and all that stuff, and so summertime, the visits and outpatient volume goes down because people are healthier, people are on vacations, and people are doing these other things. But we did definitely see a decrease in outpatient volume. Hospital contractuals, less bad debts, and charity care for the month was 56.9% of gross patient revenue. We wrote off $101,641 to our collection agency. We also gave away $12,330 in charity care. Our net operating loss for May was $204,184 before we added back sales tax and some contributions and stuff. So our actual net loss after all that was $118,241. We flip over to page 2, you can kind of see the 6-month trend. You can see that this was the lowest of the last 6 months as far as revenue goes. With that, of course, even with contractual stuff, when we don't start off with a big enough number at the top, it causes our net revenue to be down as well. We had to actually only expect to collect $649,269 for the month. The expenses were down a little bit as well. There's only one item that was a little bit unusual for the month. Was in the other expenses. We did have to have a survey from D&B, that's our critical access people that want to do a survey, and that was like $16,000. And that we get billed when they come out and do a survey. That's for their travel time as well as doing the survey itself. So there was $16,000, which is kind of an unusual one-time item and stuff. So even with that, we'd have still lost we ended up losing $118,241, but if we back out to D&B, it was still $102,000. This is our first year to go through the summer with being critical access. One of the things I think we're going to notice definitely during the summertime is with the lower volumes, that means less cash coming in because it's all tied to the volumes and stuff. And even though our reimbursement's gotten some improvements as well, it's just going to make the cash really tight during the summer months. So I just want you guys to kind of be aware of that. Page 3, of course, is just our other expenses. Really, we kind of went over that, what I told you with that one item. Page 4 is the 2-year comparison. You can see that this year we're at a net loss of $814,274 compared to a loss last year of $1,725,564. Now, I think I told you guys last month, but I'll remind you, there is some items that should improve that bottom line because I have not made any adjustments to every time they did an increase to our cost report and stuff. And just also to let you know that during this last year, we've already increased where they started us at when we first became critical access to today of over $400 per patient day, and we haven't got paid for all that as well. So we've still got some receivables out there. We did get a small receivable check this month of about $63,000. They still are just right at $200,000. They have not paid us for the first through February, and then there was some additional funds after that. So we're probably close to about $280,000. What I show right now, if everything continues with the expenses moving forward, that we should get later on. But we'll have to file another cost report in June and wait for that to come a few months later. Page 5 is our cash flow. You can see cash is pretty much steady. $42,711 at the end of the month. Page 6 is the accounts receivable. One of the items that has improved from when this report was written, the unbilled at the end of May was $618,466. We're down to just a little over $500,000 unbilled. So we're getting the bills on out the door and stuff. So that's improved as well. So anyway, just so you have that there in your information. Pages 8 and 9 is your balance sheet. And the rest of the pages are all our statistical graphs of volumes and stuff. So, and really the only real big area is just really the clinic visits. And with less clinic visits going through, that's the reason our outpatient revenue is down. It kind of goes hand in hand. You got to see the patients to have a chance to do some outpatient visits. So, is there any questions?
Will we ever get caught up with critical access to where it's flowing, I guess, a little bit more?
I hope so. I think we're going to be, when we file in July, and then they should give us our full rate, because when we filed the cost report, just so I can let you know, so when we filed the cost report in February, they agreed with what the auditor said our rate should be, but they only gave us 95% of the acute care rate, and then 85% of the swing bed rate. And the reason is they're concerned about getting us overpaid to start with. We need to get some good history, and that's why we have to keep filing those intermittent cost reports. I'm going to say probably we'll file the end of the year one. That'll get us pretty close to right. And as long as everything stays pretty steady to get us right, we shouldn't see a lot of variances one way or the other. So we just need to make sure we stay on top of the cost and stuff. Because one thing, if volumes change very much or patient mix changes, we just got to be very much aware of that, because we don't want to end up in a payable position.
Right.
Is it standard for it to take that many months for?
It probably is, from my understanding, especially when you're a new one. They set your rates so low, and you just have to keep following interim cost reports, because they want to make sure that they have not overpaid
Right.
you and you have a huge receivable, so, or payable to them. So I guess they think they're helping us out, but it just makes it really tough on us meeting all the cash flow needs. But
They would rather owe you than you owe them.
so, anyway, I would say maybe by sometime next year, we might be close to right. But it's just a slow process. But every time we file the interim cost report, it's went up about $200 a day, so that's good. But I think we're almost to the maximum point. I don't think I'll go up much more. I think we're pretty much where we're going to be moving forward. So, is there any other questions?
Is it an annual adjustment, or if they're only paying you 90 or 95% of what your cost is, somewhere in there is going to be an adjustment?
Yes. So
Is
when
that at the end of the
At the end
contract
of the,
year?
at the end of, okay, so what we'll do is we'll have our audit, at the end of 6:30, and it's about we'll file a cost report probably sometime in September, and then they take some 2 or 3 months, so probably in December, everything will be lined out at least, and then we should be pretty close, and then they might not pay us all the amount by then, it might take a little bit longer for them to go through the audit process. But yeah.
Sure. Okay, that's
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah, it's just a process for them to go through. Any other questions?
If not, Kevin, thank you for that.
Mhm.
The next item then is the operating budget.
Sure. We spent a considerable amount of time today talking about budgets. And this is the month that we actually have to do budgets. And if you'll flip over, it should be the very front of the finance section. And we'll start with the hospital budget, and then we'll do the other budgets in their own appropriate area. Just to give you an idea, looking forward to next year, I really don't think we're gonna see much changes in gross patient revenue. We'll see some increases to supply costs, and that's usually, you'll see some of that increase up there, is that we do a markup formula to all of our supplies, the pharmacy as well as medical surgical supplies. So you can kind of see what that is there. One of the big areas of decrease is in our contractuals, and that's due to two parts. One is the Medicare getting us to the right payment methodology, because right now I have not changed our contractuals, because I'm just doing what they're actually paying us. And that, we're expecting about $454,000, maybe a decrease from that. And then the other thing that's gonna happen, and that we've been working on, and we're hopeful to have implemented by April 1st of next year, is the rural health clinic. And we're expecting, probably for that first quarter, at least about $37,000 reduction in contractual to actual extra cash back to us. So that's a positive as far as that goes. The next line item that you see that's up quite a bit is other operating revenue. I think we talked about that we are enrolling in the 340B plan. That's where we get some extra reimbursement. We're going to enroll in July, and the pharmacies enroll in October. We expect it to be implemented in January. We're expecting for the first 6 months about $103,000 extra money for that program. So if we had a full year, we're talking over $200,000. So that's really a good program. So that's where you're going to see that other operating revenue go up. Next item that's kind of a bit different is salaries. It's just a decrease because we did some staffing changes and stuff with everything that's been moving around and stuff. And we actually see a decrease based on that. So we see that there. And the other expense line item is up due to some of the contract RNs that we're working on. We're also expecting to land a physician. My goal is by January 1, maybe sooner, but we're going to have to pay some, for RNs, we're doing sign-on bonuses, but like a recruitment bonus and stuff for them as well as paying for the placement fee. So that's where some of those extra expenses come in there. So with all that said, next year I expect to have from the hospital $169,135 loss. It's not quite a profit, but that's still a huge improvement, and we should have, it should actually be a better for our cash flow, because we got $599,000 in depreciation, so we should be able to flow a little bit better cash-wise as well. So, and then we'll have and then the next year, we're going to have the full implementation of the rural health clinic and the 340B, which will help us move forward as well. So, anyway, that's my budget proposal. Is there any questions?
We just, like he said, we discussed this at length of all three facilities in finance, and we pretty much came to the conclusion that with going back to your question about how long will that take, until that is at 100%, we're probably not going to be at a net income until.
Well, it's still a huge.
And if you look at where we were in fiscal year 2018 that ended to there, that's about a $1.6 million turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
So. Any questions in regards to the hospital budget, operating budget? And again, like he said, cash-wise, you would be positive by about $400,000, $430,000. So,
And of course, that'll be staged out, because some of that cash will start in January, and some of it will start in April, so I mean.
or it might come in a lump sum somewhere.
Right. But,
All right.
I make a motion, we approve the operating budget for the fiscal year 2020 as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Jay Reynolds, a second by Ken Ball to approve the operating budget. Roll call vote, please.
Self,
Yep.
Randall,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
All right, the next item is the capital budget.
Okay, every year we have to provide a 3-year capital needs budget for you guys to look at and to approve, and just because you approve this does not mean that we're gonna go out and purchase this, so you still have to come back for you guys to look at it again. So every department participated in this, as well as medical staff, they reviewed it as well. If you guys have any questions about any of the items that are there, I'll try to explain what they are. And if we decide to move forward with them, I'll bring you that information as well. But this is kind of the list that we have upcoming in the next 3 years.
And Kevin, you might explain the difference between the A, B, and C.
Okay, for the next year, A, B, and C. A means it's critical. If we don't get it and it breaks, we're just done. I mean, it's gotta be done. B is something that we'd like to do. It would be nice to have, but it's not necessarily critical. It's critical, but not that critical. We can live without it, but if we have the money to move forward. C is just a pure wish. If we got everything else paid for, we want that done. And then 2011 and 2022 is items that they can postpone for a year or two, so that's what that means. Most of them fall underneath the B category. It would be nice to have if we can get the funding for it, and it would might improve some of the operations, but it's not like we're dead in the water and we can't operate without it there, because we have that piece of equipment now. So.
What does it look like I know medical record update, converting the system it's,
Yeah, well, we talked about postponing it for about a year, where we got some conference calls with St. Anthony's to talk about that some more, and then to also develop a kind of a strategic plan for disaster if something happened. I mean, to move forward. And we've been moving forward, keeping everything updated, and we're fine that way. It's just, our system's just old, and that's what we're trying to get
the
to.
convenience of,
Yeah. And that's the reason it's in the B category. We're not dead in the water, so.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the capital budget as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Alice Simon, to approve the capital budget. Roll call vote, please.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sil.
Yes.
All right, thank you, guys. Next is the Medical Staff Executive Committee, Chief of Staff, Dr. Self.
Yeah, we met on June 13. The only actionable thing I need to bring before the board is that we unanimously recommended the reappointment to courtesy staff of Dr. Reggie Pappy, MD. Just want to make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Jay Randalls to reappoint to courtesy staff Reggie Pappy, MD. Roll call vote, please.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sil.
Yes.
Randalls.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is QAPI. Do we have any QAPI?
I don't know if we have anything, but I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think there's anything in there, but I can talk about coffee.
Briefly?
Yeah, briefly, I can talk about it. So we talked about being surveyed by DMV, and so one of the things that we did do is we implemented some extra things that you're gonna eventually approve through policies here in a little bit. Let me kind of tell you about the survey and what we got, what we had to correct. And one of them, one of these will be suicide prevention for ER patients, and that's one of the policies that we had to do. We had to develop what we're going to do if we have a suicidal patient in the emergency room. So we developed some criteria, and we put it in the SUSS. We did education to staff. We got it implemented, and just so you know, we've been surveyed twice. DMV came back out and said that that met the criteria, so we got that solved. But you guys need to go ahead and approve that policy. The other is we had to define what the director of anesthesia was supposed to do. So we got some criteria put out there for our anesthesia, not for anesthesia, for our director of anesthesia to review over all that as well, and so we set it up also in SQSS, and we'll be monitoring, all these that I'm talking about, it's gonna be monitored for at least 6 months, or until we get to 100% for 6 months, so that's the next one. The other one is, CRNA duties and responsibilities. We had to put out what the CRNA is responsible for. We had to just kind of talk a little bit more about history and physical for surgical patients. We had to set up evaluations of our staff, make sure that we do it on an annual basis, and that we made it more meaningful. It wasn't that we didn't do evaluations, they just wanted to make them where they were more meaningful to staff as well. And the last item was education of physicians. I have to make sure our current physicians, mid-levels, or anybody actually contracting with us, understands what our policies and procedures are. What is our mission of the hospital? How to write up incident reports, how do you wash your hands? I mean, it's just what do you do in a disaster? So we had to set all that up, and of course, we also implemented that all into our SQSS system to monitor that moving forward. Otherwise, the normal stuff we monitor every month, we were all within our parameters. We didn't have any department that fell out. Every quarter, a different person comes every quarter for their monthly or quarterly meeting, and nobody had any criteria that fell out, so we feel pretty good about that. Like I said, we got surveyed. We had 5 issues that came up through the survey. They came back and resurveyed what we did. They did not find any issues, and they said they will not be back to see us again until probably March, April timeframe. So that, we should feel pretty good about that. So we're good for another certification year. But I think the quality's going well, and when we get to the policies, we're going to go in a little bit more depth about it, but they're all related back to the survey. Except I guess there's one that wasn't misidentification of patient policy. We just had to talk about, that was about making sure that we put armbands on patients, so we don't have patients confused who they are. I mean, we're not confused, they know who they are, but we're not confused who they are when they go through different areas. So. But anyway, but the rest of those all those policies had to deal with the actual survey. And if you want me to go in more detail about each one of them, I can, but that's the crutch of all of them. So. That's walking.
So moving into improvement of patient care, there is a validation calendar there. Everything was compliant. One of them, we don't use the vendor anymore, so there was no reason to do that. So the item after that is the approval or disapproval of the misidentification of patients policy. That's the one you just spoke of about.
Making sure the patient has a wristband when they go to different areas of the building, so we don't give them the wrong blood or anything. It's just safety, patient safety is what that boils back to.
Okay.
I move approval of misidentification of patient's policy.
Second.
We had a motion by Dr. Brown, a second by Dr. Hannaford to approve the misidentification of patients policy. Roll call vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Gasper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sell,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
All right, the next item is the approval or disapproval of the suicide prevention for ER patients policy. Anything else need to be added to that? No? Okay.
Make a motion to approve the suicide prevention for ER patients policy.
Second.
Then you, Dr. Stone?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Dr. Self to approve the suicide prevention for ER patients policy. Roll call vote, please.
Bob,
Yes.
Gasper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sell,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the approval or disapproval of the purpose of anesthesia department policy. Anything to add on that?
No, it just says why we have to have anesthesia. So.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the purpose of anesthesia department policy.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Brown, second by Jay Randalls, to approve the purpose of anesthesia department policy. Roll call vote, please.
Gasper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sell,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Okay. Next item is the approval or disapproval of the Director of Anesthesia Policy. Anything to add on that?
No.
Okay.
Make a motion for approval of the Director of Anesthesia Policy.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Jay Randalls to approve the Director of Anesthesia Policy. Roll call vote, please.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Yes.
Brown, Bob,
Yes.
Casper.
Yes. The next item is the approval or disapproval of the CRNA duties and responsibilities policy. Anything to add on that?
No.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the CRNA duties and responsibilities policies.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Dr. Self to approve the CRNA duties and responsibilities policy. Roll call vote, please.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Okay. The last one is the history and physical for surgery policy. Anything to add on that?
No, it just, the thing was, they didn't have the policy actually in the surgery book, but we had medical records, but it's that they have to have a history of physical on every account or every patient before they do surgery, so that's all it is.
I make a motion that we approve the history and physical for surgery policy.
Second.
I have a motion by Jay Randalls, a second by Dr. Self to approve the history and physical for surgery policy. Roll call vote, please.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self.
Yes.
All right, cool. The next item is the Share Convalescent Home Report. First item on it is the approval or disapproval to add Kelly Parker as an additional signature on the Homestead Share Medical Center Convalescent Home checking accounts at Community Bank in Alva.
I'll make a motion for approval to add Kelly Parker as an additional signature on the Homestead SMC Convalescent Home checking account at Community Bank of
Second.
Alva.
All right, we have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Jay Randalls to approve Kelly Parker as an additional signator on the Homestead Share Medical Center Convalescent Home checking accounts at Community Bank in Alva, Oklahoma. Roll call vote, please.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the approval or disapproval of the operating budget for the Share Convalescent Home.
Okay, I'm gonna go over, if you'll flip over to the nursing homes, section. The first item is the, actual operating budget, and you gotta go down that with you. The first item,
Go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead, never mind.
do you do?
No, you go ahead and do it. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, okay. So anyway, effective October 1st of this year, we're going to increase our rates $10 a day. And the reason we're doing that is it coincides with the new Medicaid reimbursement from the state. And that will get us to the rates to where we are actually, what the state's paying us, and they'll also help reduce contractual. But anyway, what that will mean for the nursing home from October 1st of 2019 until June 30th of 2020, an additional $255,000 in true cash just from just that change in that, as well as their increase in the rates. The other item that's down quite a bit is contractuals. Once they increase our reimbursement, we're not having to write off part of the room rates and stuff. So you're going to see about $124,000 decrease in contractuals as well, because the contractual all happened during the first 3 months of the year. The other thing is I expect bad debts to go down, about $45,000, might do better than that. We've been really working hard on trying to get a good intake of patients coming into the facility, and we should probably eliminate, the goal is to eliminate all bad debts. We should want to make sure we have payer sources in hand, if at all possible, before we let them into our building. Salaries, you'll see, is an increase of $385,000. A lot of that is due to us being successfully recruiting staff. That's our goal. We've been using a lot of contract staff, and so we're going to put the money to work for us and actually retain our own staff here. And then you'll notice that the other expense is down as well, and that is the elimination of some of the contract staff as well. So they kind of go hand in hand with each other. This year, I expected us to lose about $18,176 for the year. But with all the changes that we are expecting from the increase in reimbursement, plus getting our own staff here, I'm projecting next year a net income of $233,988. So that's my proposal.
No pressure.
No pressure.
From first to fifth, I can just fit with.
Yeah. Are there any questions in regards to the operating budget for the shared convalescent home?
Make a motion, we approve the operating budget for the coming year.
Second.
So we have a motion by Dr. Brown, a second by Ken Ball to approve the operating budget for the convalescent home. Roll call vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sell,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is the approval or disapproval of the capital budget. It's right behind that.
Yes, it is, yeah. So, same thing, we have to do 3 years' worth. Really, the only A item is there's probably going to be a need for a new call light system. I mean, that's what we really think is definitely going to have to happen. But there's some other items that are out there too that we really could have the funds to be good. So, if there's any questions, either I or Phil can answer things.
I make a motion we approve the capital budget for the shared convalescent home.
Second.
We have a motion by Jay Randalls, a second by Dr. Self to approve the capital budget for the convalescent home. Roll call vote, please.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sell,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
It's not a listed item, Kelly, but do you have any things that you would like to add about the convalescent home?
Sure, I'll be brief.
Okay.
We did have a slight increase in our census in May versus April, very slight, not too much. We've been working quite a bit on the facility. We painted a few rooms, we cleaned out a lot of old closets and got rid of a lot of old and broken equipment, things like that. So the place is just looking better. We have, as Kevin mentioned, we've seen a significant reduction already in the amount of contract hours that we're using for staffing. We've had 3 consecutive weeks in a row where that invoice total's been under $10,000, and the most recent one was right around $6,000. So, and I think when I look back through the numbers, and Kevin will know better, but we've been averaging not just over 10,000, but a lot of months over, or weeks over 15,000 and whatnot. So that has helped quite a bit. When I get to the finances, you'll notice that our salaries have gone up about $11,000 or $12,000. But that's because we've been able to hire people and take the people that we have and arrange our schedules better so that we're using our own people instead of the agency staff. And then you'll see where we went up about $11,000 or $12,000 in salaries, we went down about 15 or 20 in other expenses. So you can see it's not a direct correlation. We do save more money by using our own staff, and it's going real well. Morale's been pretty good. Anytime you go through a transition, you worry how that's going to go, and morale's been very good through this transition. The staff are eager to take advantage of some of the opportunities that we have in front of us, so things are going well. We have been also working quite a bit on being prepared for the new requirements that are going to come out with the payment rate increase that happens in October. So there's a lot of education that's happening, and Rita and I have been to 3 different education events at this point. We've got more scheduled. We'll be taking our MDS coordinator to some of that in the future, and just getting ready for what's going to happen. We will be having some requirements to have probably a similar, policy approval process that you're used to with the hospital for nursing home policies. So we'll be setting up a schedule for you guys to approve our policies on a regular basis as well. Then and like I said, we continue to focus on hiring staff. We hired, I think, 10 people last week, so it was a good week. Hopefully the big challenge will be when school starts to make sure that we have people that can work in addition to go to school or instead of going to school. So a lot of the staff that we're hiring right now have met kind of their career goal for the time being. So but we will have a few that go off to school in the fall. So, as far as the finances are concerned, we did have a operating cash balance for May of $42,540, and that represents 4.7 days of operating expenses, excluding depreciation. Accounts receivable decreased by $27,000, down to $679,386. And Kevin talked about that. We're really trying to do a better job on the front end of making sure that we've got payment, either an upfront payment or a payment commitment that we understand where the payer source is going to be, and we know that payment will be coming. And so we're working on that. Accounts payable was $216,431 for May, and that's 43.3 days of operating expenses, excluding salary, benefits, and depreciation. Gross patient revenue was $304,000, which was a $7,073 increase compared to last month. Total patient days were 1,534 compared to 1,665 in April. The contractuals were 5.9%. Operating expenses totaled $122,673. It was a decrease of almost $14,593. And then the salaries and wages were $135,663, which was an $11,492 increase. Net operating loss was $5,497, and so
MRI truck is here. Anyone parked on the south side of the building needs to move their vehicle, please.
gotta go.
MRI is here. Anyone parked on the south side of the building needs to move.
You can see behind there the 6-month comparisons. Again, we were down about $5,500 for the month of May. Year to date, we have a net loss of $15,508, and it's last year we had a net income. So the goal is going to be to turn those numbers around and get us back on track. We have rooms available of all sizes right now. So I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Any questions for Kelly? If not, Kelly, thank you. Next item is the homestead. First would be the approval or disapproval of the operating budget. And Christy, welcome to your first meeting.
Thank you.
Well, I'll do the operating budget.
We agreed on that before we did.
Then I'm going to turn it back over to her. Just so you know, really the homestead budget's pretty straightforward. There's really not a lot of changes. The one thing that we did, something that we've enacted a couple of years ago, is in January we normally increase rates by the CPI, and so that's really what the only increase that we have as far as revenue goes. The decrease is, in salary is due to us restructuring the way we're handling the homestead as well as the nursing home and stuff. So we've pretty much eliminated most of the salary for over there. And so you can see that's where that is. So anyway, we're expecting actually to make about $50,000, almost $51,000 more over there next year compared to this year. It looks good. We expect to make $284,523 compared to $233,551. So there's really, we just kind of really a change in rate and just a little bit of restructuring of how the different staff before we got them all out and stuff. So
I make a motion to approve the operating budget as presented.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Haley Simon.
Sorry. I have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Haley Simon, to approve the operating budget for the homestead. Roll call vote, please.
Gasford,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
the capital budget was actually with the nursing home budget. They only had
That's
one
what I thought.
item. So
There's nothing to approve for
there's
this.
nothing that would right.
Thought we need to make a motion.
Can't get any.
No.
Knock yourself is sad.
I was getting ready.
Christie, there is no,
I make a motion not to approve it.
What was that limo we were gonna put on
It
there?
was on the other one.
Oh, good.
That's why I
Wait, did you want it on yours?
Because in the past, I've always kind of threw it together, but that's, yeah, I probably should put it in a different spot. But yeah, no, they had a limo on there.
does it have to be running? Because I saw one parked over there.
I actually questioned that.
We have something similar to that already.
Christie, there's no line item, but if you would like to add anything about the homestead?
I will say it's been busy, and I thank Kelly for all the advertisement that we already were running, because we are adding people. I have not, since I started, I have not had a week go by that I haven't moved someone in. So that part is going really, really great. We also have, if any of you have known that we were doing a super room, and I'm sure Kelly told about that, and it is really neat. All the residents came for a tour. I guess that was been a couple of weeks ago, but they were even excited to see it, and all of them thinking that was really fabulous. But I have someone coming to, the people that were planning to come to it are coming to look at it this weekend, and it's ready finally, so I'm really excited about that. If you ever are over near the homestead, you should come look at it. The door is unlocked right now, and so you can come down. It's A6 right beside the office, and Kelly did a great job planning on that. We finished the big freezer. That was a huge project too, and they reorganized everything in the kitchen to make it more efficient, as well as having better storage. So all of that, way to go, Kelly. We got new furniture in the lobby. G&G Furnishings helped us with that, as well as E&J. Made the donation for it, so it's just been really great. So he really gave it to me at a great time. Thanks, Kelly. We talked him into this at a great time. I mean,
Great work.
Yeah.
I feel like the president after the one that did all the work, and I come
Yeah.
in and take all the kudos. So yeah.
Well, very good.
When you go get that pond fixed.
Well, yeah. I have to wait till it dries out. Isn't that what you told me? I listened. I heard you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, guys.
I had my shop back out there the other day.
It's not all water, it's not going to.
Next item is the SMC Foundation report, Kelly.
I didn't have a report, but I will let you know that we did receive and I'll may have more details to share later after I visit with the donor, but we did receive a $25,000 gift this week with the intention of using it for some emergency room equipment. So that was pretty exciting. And other than that, we're wrapping up our fiscal year and getting all of our documents ready for whenever the auditor decides to show up ask us for stuff.
All right, thank you. Next is the St. Anthony's report. Bridget?
Just briefly, I just wanted to be sure that I introduced Cindy Carmichael. She joined our team on the 10th of this month, so she's going to be the VP of Rural Health. I think most of y'all have been familiar with Kyle, but Kyle has always been the COO since I've been on board, and now that we're starting to do some management agreements, we've been spread a little thin. So I personally am thrilled to have Cindy on board with us, so she'll be able to be a part of the executive team and be able to report back to y'all from an executive level. So I'll still be around doing my thing, but you'll probably see some more of Cindy, so I just wanted to be sure that we had a chance to introduce you and you tell a little bit about yourself.
Been in healthcare a long time, this is my 34th year. I've been in Oklahoma my entire life, and I've worked with rural hospitals in Oklahoma for the last 20 plus years. And just spent the last 12 and a half years at Mercy, and I'm just glad to be here. So, thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you both for being here, and welcome to the team.
Thank you.
All right, next item is the city council report. Bo?
Briefly, just highlights, we did also approve our budget for the next fiscal year. We approved to take to the vote of the people our next franchise agreement for ONG. We tabled the discussion on the fire rates after getting some preliminary numbers back from a company. None of us felt really comfortable about it, so we're going to continue to look at that. And declared some items surplus, went into executive session to discuss negotiations with our firefighters, and of course you probably saw the paper, we had some comments about our mosquito spraying, and we listened and moved on. That's basically my report if there's any questions. Streets, making good progress, and hopefully with 10 days kind of looking pretty good, we'll kind of catch up a little bit on our streets with all the rain we've had.
Kind of a humorous comment, and Dr. Brown may be able to corroborate this or say it's wrong, but one of my older patients was telling me that the city used to annually would spray for mosquitoes just all the time, and then one time they had a city worker put in Roundup instead of mosquito spray. Didn't go over real big, and so it kind of abated on it.
There are some neighborhoods where we could do that.
The one that we did, I think.
If you want to stop that program, you can store that mosquito spray in my backyard with all the chemical. I'll store it for you.
If you lived in the city limits, they could do that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
I know, we joked about that as a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke, by the way.
All right, thank you, Will, for your report. Next item under chairman's report is election of officers. The first seat is chairman.
I nominate Jason.
Second.
Yay!
You did say nomination ceased. Would anybody else like that position?
I move the nomination cease and cast unanimous vote.
Aye.
I didn't ask for a roll call vote. I'll do it for another year. We have a motion. Who made the motion?
Kayla Simon.
How could I forget you? Who seconded that?
Dr. Self.
Dr. Self. All right, I had a motion by Hala Simon, a second by Dr. Self to nominate Jason Gaspard as the chairman. Roll call vote, please.
Hanford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Randalls,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Gaspard.
Yes. Current vice chairman is Dr. Brown.
I make a motion that Dr. Brown carry on his duties as vice chairman.
Second.
I have a motion by Jay Randalls, a second by Dr. Self nominate Dr. Brown as the vice chairman. Roll call vote, please.
Sell,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Kayla Simon is the current secretary.
Make a motion to nominate Haley Simon as secretary for the year. It's done.
I have a motion by Dr. a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Dr. Self to nominate Kayla Simon as the secretary of the board. Roll call vote, please.
Randall,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Sell.
Yes.
There are no other items of new business. Appreciate each one of you also serving in those roles. There is a possibility, or else maybe I just won't be here. Next month's meeting is on the 16th. I will be at church camp. I will not be here. So, Dr. Brown, if you want to run the meeting, we can still have it.
Last time we ran the meeting, it was 30 minutes long.
Oh, by the way.
Okay, so you're saying, I come back and we're double that, so. There was more agenda items. Okay, we'll leave
I
it.
won't be here either, so.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
15 minutes now. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all.